Hello guys, welcome to another tutorial on Ednite. So today we are going to be creating this rock paper scissors game. We will achieve this using HTML, CSS and JavaScript. I choose this game for this tutorial because I wanted to talk a little bit about the fundamental of JavaScript, which this simple game is going to be very useful in that, because of the game is very simple and very easy to understand. So we are going to look at HTML and CSS, learn more about it and drag our skills. This is a very simple game. You can see the layout is very simple. So let's dive right in. So before we start coding anything, let's talk about the functionality of the game. So we already know how the game works. I play and the computer plays. So now I play for scissors and computer plays for rock. That means we already know that rock wins over scissors, so computer gets one. So I play for rock and computer play for scissors. Now I get one because rock wins scissors. So I play for paper and computer plays for rock. We already know that paper wins rock, so I get 2. Now I play for scissors and computer plays for paper. We already know that scissors wins paper. So that is just how the game works. So down here you can see this point to beat. So for example, I can set a particular score. The first person to get to that score is the winner. So let me make the score of 4 and be like, so let's see what will happen. So computer wins me. This is a draw, rock. Now I was the first to get four scores and I'm the winner. So you can also reset the game. So this is all about the game. So let's get right in coding the functionality and everything. So I'll be using Visual Studio Code. I've already created my HTML file, CSS and JavaScript. For now, the only thing in my CSS file is just the colors that I've prepared for this background color and everything that I've prepared for this game. So let's dive right in. Let's start from the HTML. So the first thing we need to do is to create the document structure. So let me change this title to JS game. So the first thing we want to do is to create this container. Then inside this container we have 2 panels, as we can see. So this one will be for the computer and this one will be for the user. So let's kind of save it, and so you see what I'm like. We have this first container, then we have this and this. So inside the user container we have these 3 images here, these buttons. So I already have those buttons. We have them here, you can see them, kind of images or icons, if I may. So I have them here. I'm going to be sending the link to the completed version of this program, so you can download it and get all these images, or you can just download anyone. You can just go online, search and just download any rock paper scissors image you see. So I'll name this action, or rather actions, because they are the actions that you can take. So the first one will be let us name it action, and action will have an ID of paper. So we need to get this image. Start images. I need to get paper. So let's duplicate this 2 times because we need one for rock and scissors. So this will be rock. So I need to change it to rock. This is going to be scissors. I need to change this to scissors. So that's kind of working for us. That's good. So let's save this and look and check how it looks like. So wow, everything is looking good. So let's kind of go to our CSS and start styling a bit. Let's style it. So we need to link our CSS file, style.css. So let's save it. So let's open the CSS file. As I said, I've only prepared like this background color, all the background color that I will use for this project. So the first thing I need to select, I want to override some default padding and margin. I always love doing it before I start any program. I don't like some default margin that are added to some elements and those padding, so I like removing them using the universal selector. So margin, I'm also going to set the box sizing to border box. So so the first thing I'm going to select is the body. So the first thing, I'm going to give it a background color. So I've already prepared a color for this, which is this Lilian gradient, the BG variable. So I'm going to give it a width of 100% and a height of 100 hue height. So I think that will be all for now. So I need to select the container. The first thing is to give it a background. I've already prepared a color, this variable light. So so I need to give it a width. Maybe let's give it a width of 700 pixels and a height of let's say 60%. So let's save it and let's reload. So I think it's okay, everything is okay. So now let's select the panels. So the background is going to be white, as well as the height is going to be 100% and the width is going to be 50%. So let's save this and see what it looks like. Let's reload. So we have this here. So it's in a row now. Now we need it to come in columns. We'll achieve that using display flex. Select display flex. So let's save, and we have that. So another thing we want to do is to add a gap. So let's add a gap of 10 pixels. This line here. So let's kind of style these actions. So let's select it, the actions. Oops, I forgot to add a dot here. So now the first thing I want to do is to give it a width. So let's try 50 pixels for now, and then I think let's go with 70. So let's save it. Let's save it and test it. Nothing changed. Okay, yes, we need to also make the image take 100% of the width. So image, I want to select all the image on my page. Take 100%. So I think it's way too big. So let's come down here and make it 50. So I would have just gone with 50 the first time. I think that's perfect. So another thing, I want this to become a flex box. Display flex, but I want it to be in columns, rather sorry, in rows. So flex direction will make it columns. So everything still looks we just need to, I want to add a gap. So let's make this gap 5 pixels. Let's also add a padding of 5 pixels, as well as a background color. A background, I've already predefined the color. I think the action variable, yes. So let's save it and let's check out. I think it looks good. So from the first one we can see it's at the right hand side, not at the left. It's at the right of the box. So let's tie that. So for that we need to make it position absolute, and we make the right 10 pixels and the top two to be 10 pixels, which is 10 pixels away from the right and 10 pixels away from the top. So let's save that. So let's see how it looks. Okay, we need to set it relative to the container, rather to the panel. We need to make the panel relative so that the action will be relative, or rather absolute, to the panel. So we have that. So another thing, I would like to move this container to the center. So we will still achieve that using flex box. So we have to go to the body and display flex one, then justify content, center, as well as align item center. So let's save it and reload. So that worked. So the next thing we need to add is these actions, they have like a hover effect on it, so we would like to add this hover effect. So I think it's actually smaller than the original, so let me just increase it. Rather than 50 pixels, let's just make it 60. Then I need to select the actions, rather the action, not actions. Hover. So I need to select the image. Whenever I hover, I want to get the image. So I want to select this, not this, but this action, this div, and whenever I hover on it, I want to call the image inside it. So that's what this line of code is actually just entailing. So let's I need to transform and scale. Let's go for 0.9. I think that is okay. 0.9. Let's save that. Okay, let's also add a transition. I always love to add it here because it will apply to all my elements or any other animation I would like to add. So transition, I like to use a particular transition for my entire web page. I think it's a better practice. So 0.5 seconds. So I think that is good. So now what is the next thing? We want to, let's just check. Let's add this core and as well as this overlay here. So let's go to our HTML file. We have like a div, and we have score here. Now span. Let's just have 0 in here. Let's give this span a class of computer score. So let's copy this and let's paste it here. Now it's going to be user, or this is going to be used to keep track of the user score. So I think that is working out for us. Let's test that. Looking good. So I want to add like a padding. I don't like it's at the edge, so I want to add like a padding to the panels. So let's go to the panel and add padding. Maybe 10 pixels. I think that is perfect. I don't like the font as well, so let's change the font. Let's go to the body. I didn't prepare any font for any font family for this project, but I'm just going to choose one from this. Let's go with this. I think I like this. Let's make it bold. Font weight should be bold. So I think that is good. So now we want to like create that point to bit. So we'll come up here and we'll create a div. I'll name this div overlay. So what next? Let me create a div which is point. Let me just name the div point, and then I have an input in there. Firstly, you should have a label, and the label should be point to bit. So I want to create an input. The input will be for numbers. So it also have an ID. Let us call this point as well. So let's save this. So let's call this now as CSS and style it. So let's copy it. Let's add a background color. I've prepared a background for this, which is this overlay variable. So overlay. So what next? We have gotten the background. So let's add a padding. I want to add a padding of 10 pixels, as well as what next? I want it to come in a row, or rather, so I'm going to make the display to be flex, and want it to be in the middle, justify content center, as well as align item center as well. I'm kind of missing something. The button, I didn't add a button, the restart button. So let me add that. We'll come down here and then add a button. Then restart. Okay. So let's reload. So everything is working perfectly. So another thing, we want this to like come here, to come over this, over the panels, rather than be in a row with them. So let's go to the CSS file. So we'll achieve that using position absolute. So as you can see, it's actually at the lower part, meaning at the bottom. So let's make this 20 pixels. So left, I'll make this left 20% and also make right 20%, because I want it to have even space at the left and at the right. So let's reload. Okay, it's relative to the body or absolute to the body instead of absolute to the container. So let's go to the container and add a position of relative. Position relative. So let's reload. So it's already here, but we can see it's actually under this white background. So we'll make it to come on top using the Z index. So let's set it to 10. By default, every element have a Z index of 1. So making it 10, it's the biggest here. So we need to add padding to this input. So let's get overlay and input. So now we want to add a padding of that's 100 pixels. Sorry, padding of 10, not 100. Rather, the width should be 100. Why the padding should be 10? Width 100, why padding 10? So I think that is good. So I want to add gap between these two. Let's come here. Let's add gap. Let's use 10 pixels. So let's select the button, overlay, and select button. So now I want to make the background to be same with the background color. So I also want to remove borders, add padding. Let's add a padding of 10 pixels. The color will be white. And the font weight will be bold. So I want to remove some of the edges, so I'll do that using border reduce. So border reduce. So let's add on like 10 pixels. I think it's too much. Let's just go for 5. Let us go for 5. Okay, I think that is perfect. So let's continue. The next thing to add, I think we are done with the HTML and CSS. We are done with the HTML and CSS. Let us go into the JavaScript. Okay, we are missing something. This card stuff here, we are missing it, so we need to add it. So actually, we are going to be adding it with the JavaScript, but let's just style it how it will be when we actually add it with the JavaScript. So now let's come down here. We'll create something like card container, something like that. Let's call it card dash container. And then inside it we have card. And then what next? We should have the image. So let us go with paper. Let's save this. Let's also copy this for the computer panel. Let's save it. So let's see how it looks. So it's look good, but it's really big, really big. I think I even like it better this way. But let's just remember we are just recreating the original design. So we need to call it. So what class did we give to it again? A card container. So first, I think we want to let's size this image first. So we have to call the card, and the width should be like let's say 200 pixels. I think that is good. So now we want to center it. So then we need to call the card container. So now when we call the card container, I want to make the width, want to make sure that the width is 100% and it's using at least 90% of the height. So height will be 90%. So we'll actually center it well. It will come to the center of the panel. So 90% of the height. So now I want to use the display flex to center it. You remember justify content, center, and align item, center. So let's save this. So I think that is perfect. That is good. We are done with the HTML and CSS now. So now the thing to do is to go to the JavaScript. So now let's close this because we'll not be needing it again. So let's come down here and then link our JavaScript file. So source, we're going to have app.js. So let's save this. So let's go to our JavaScript file. So but first let's just remove this these images here so that we can add them with our JavaScript. So we just need to come down here and cut this out, as well as also come here and also cut this. So let's reload. Everything looks perfect. So let's come here, let's just add a comment. I'm going to be using this this part later. Let's just paste it here. I'm going to be using it later. So now what's next? So now we need to actually get input from the user. So the way we get input from the user is actually from these buttons. So I think we are missing something about CSS. When we hover on these icons, we should our pointer should be like our cursor should be a pointer, something like that. Our cursor should be a pointer. So we are missing that. So let's go to the actions, if I can remember. Actions. So on hover, we want our cursor to become a pointer. Working perfectly. So we are done with the CSS. So the first thing we want to do is actually get this input. So how would we get this? We'll actually call it in JavaScript using this class we gave it, this action class. So let's go to our JavaScript and let's create a variable. Let's create a variable, and this will be action. Name it actions. So document dot query select, this should be query selects all because there are three actions. So present action. So now I think that is good. We have gotten the action. So now we need to add a function whenever we click any of the action. But now to do that, we need to actually, because of this is now an array, this action is now equals to an array. So now before we are able to access individual item, we need to do a for each loop. Now for each, let's get the loop. So now it's the array, it's going to be actions, and the element is going to be action. So now we can now add individual functions to each of the action. So now what we want to do when we want to add a function whenever we click on the action. So now action dot add event listener. So we want to listen for clicks. So I want to add a function. So now the first thing we want to do is to actually get the ID of the action that we click. As you can see, the IDs are different. The ID represents the value. So now whenever we click on any action, we want to get the ID. So let's see how we can do that. So let's console.log something. Console.log action point id. So this will help us get the ID. So let's open our console. So we have that. So let's click. So everything is working. It's working perfectly. So we are actually getting the user choice now. So let's create a variable up here. Let's define a variable. This variable will be user choice. So now user choice will now be equal to action.id. So now we are getting the user choice. So I think the next thing we need to do now is to get the computer choice. So let's create a function here. This function will be get computer choice. So now if you notice, the choice of the computer comes randomly. There's no way of calculating what the next choice is going to be. So we are going to use the random method to actually make the computer choice to be random, to pick randomly. So the first one, we are going to have a variable. Let us name this variable num. It's just going to be here. So we are going to, the random is part of the math. So let's get the random. Now, because there are only 3 choices, so let's save this. Let's console.log this to our screen. So num. Now let's save it. So now let's call this function whenever we click on action, we will call this get computer choice function. So let's save this. Okay, it's working, but the problem is that we are getting float instead of an integer. So the way to solve this is very simple. Just go for math.floor. Let's reload. Oh, so it's working. So we can see we are getting random choice. So I think let's make this game more fun. Let's make it be like 6. But then I don't want it to start counting from 0. I want it to start counting from 1. So whatever the value is going to add 1 to it. So that means we are never going to have a 0. So I think that is good. So what next? So now we need to write an if statement. So we are going to check if num is equal to 1. So now I want the computer first. Let's define a variable. Let computer choice. Let's define a variable computer choice. So now let computer choice. This variable is going to save the computer choice be equal to paper. So this should be a string. Let's copy this. We have an else if. Paste it. Then it's equals to a 2. So we want this to be rock. Now else. So this will now be equals to scissors. Now what? Copy all 3 and paste it. So now this will be 4, 5, 6. So this should be 3, and we're also making a mistake. We are using null instead of num. We need to change, and everywhere change this to num. So we are going to return. Let's return computer choice. So let's save this. So let's check. Let's check if this function is actually working. Let's console.log computer choice whenever the button is clicked, whenever an action is clicked. Let's save this and reload. So yes, we actually getting our own choice, not the computer's choice. I don't understand. Let's reload again. So when we click on scissors, the computer choose paper. When we click on rock, the computer choose paper again. When we click on paper, the computer choose rock. When we click on scissors, the computer choose paper. So everything is working perfectly. The computer is choosing randomly. So I would like to scatter this a bit. So let me go for paper here and go for rock. Then scissors. Not like it's changing anything, but let's just go for it. Let me just do it this way. So let me save this. So there's nothing we are now getting the computer choice. So now we want to check if, like, from each time we roll, each time we click on an action, who actually wants. So now we are going to write a function to check the computer choice and the user choice and give us a winner. So this function is also going to update the score. So let's just name this function update score. And I don't think this is the best name for this function, but so now what this function is going to take two parameters to work. Firstly is the computer choice, and then the user choice. Now let's save this. So now we are going to write an if statement. If user choice is equal to, let's say, paper, and and computer choice is equal to what wins against paper, or sorry, paper wins against rock, so it's equal to rock. So it's going to give us something. It's going to console.log you win. So this is not the only situation where you actually win. So we are going to write all three of them, because you can only win in three different circumstances: when you are paper and computer is rock, when you are scissors and computer is paper, and when you are rock and computer is scissors. So each of these situation, you are the winner. So we are going to write three of them. So now the second one is going to check, we are going to check all when user choice is equal to now we should check for rock is equal to rock, and computer choice should be equal to scissors. So the last situation or last circumstance of you winning. So now we are going to check if user choice is scissors. If user choice is equal to scissors, and computer choice is equal to paper. So let's save this. So let's save this. So now these are the three possibilities of you winning: when you are paper and computer is rock, when you are rock and computer is scissors, and when you are scissors and computer is paper. So now else if you don't win, else you lose, right? So else we'll console.log you lose. So okay, we've not called the function, so let's call this function. So let's just copy this and then paste it here. So we don't need to console.log anything here anymore. Let's reload. So now let's click on work. You lose, because now computer choice to be like you know what, let's console.log computer's choice, so I will be able to check why we lose or why we win. So work, we choose on paper and computer choose work, so we win. We choose on work and computer choose on work. So you see what just happened? We got a draw. I choose work and computer also picked work, and then I lose. So in situation where we actually get a draw, where the computer, where I choose same thing as the computer, I think we should have like draw. So let's copy this line. So rather here we have an else if we have paper and rock as well as scissors. So we just don't want anything to happen, we just want it to just overlook it. So let's replay the game. So I choose on paper, you lose. Maybe the first time I choose paper, computer also choose paper, now I lose. So everything is working perfectly, everything is working. So now what we want to do now is to actually update the score whenever I win. Rather than console.log in anything, let's see the score, let's update the score. So that is the main purpose why this function was created in the first place, to update our scores. So for that, we'll create a variable named score. Let's call now this score will be equal to an array. This array will have 2 items in it. So now this first item will be used to record the user score, while this second one will be used to record the computer score. So let's save this. So whenever we actually win, we want score, we want to get the first element, and we want to increment the value by 1. So whenever we lose as well, we want to repeat same thing, but now we'll be incrementing the value of the computer. So that will be 1. We want to get the second item in the array. So let's save this. So for now, let's kind of display it, because it's not displaying yet. So look at the area where we wish to display it. So let's copy it. So document dot query selector, want to select for this, and want to dot inner HTML should be equals to score. I think this should be user score. We want to get the first element, so let's copy this and paste it here. To that, so let's call this function. Okay, we've already called the function. Let's save this and let's reload. So when we click on this, paper, I'm guessing nothing happened. Paper, rock, scissors, I get one. Paper, scissors, scissors, paper, I get another one. Rock, yeah, nothing happened. So now we click on paper and then we are getting an error. So where is the error coming from? So maybe it's not actually getting this, like it cannot locate this. Maybe we misspelled the class. Let's just go and copy exactly what is there. Okay, we misspelled it here. This is computer, not computer. Let's reload. So let's open our console again. So I pick on paper and work. Paper means work, and we are getting another error. So still on this line. Why is that line giving us error? Let's just copy this and then come here, then paste it here. So let's reload. Let's test it. So paper, rock. Oh, we are actually pressing the same thing. So we can see it's working. So it's working perfectly. Everything is working perfectly. So now the next thing we want to do is actually, let's check the original. When we actually click on something, we see this card appears. So we want to actually add that to our own game. So whenever we click on an action, we see this card. So now we want to select this image. So now let's give it an ID of card. Copy here and also paste it here. But rather this should be user card, and this is going to be computer card. Let's copy this. Let's go to our JavaScript. So now we want to get it. So document dot query selector or get element by ID, because we are using the ID here. So get element by ID, and then want to get user. So we want to set attribute, and the attribute we want to set is the source attribute. So the value of the attribute is going to be this part we copied here. Now let's change this. user choice. So I want to copy this line, paste it here. It should be computer. It will also be computer choice. So let's save it and let's see if it works. So whenever we click on this, something happens, but the computer choice is not actually displaying for some reason. I misspelled anything. I guess maybe I misspelled some of the choices. So scissors is correct. It's correct. Paper, everything is correct. Must have been a little glitch. So I think everything is working good. Everything is working good. So let's close this. We're not going to be using this anymore. So now let's click on. We are still having that problem of not displaying anything. Okay, I think maybe this is when we actually get a draw. But rather than actually writing it in here, I think let's just bring it down here. Whenever the function is called, all of this will happen. So so when we get a draw, at least we still get the image. So everything is working perfectly. So now the next one which will work is this point to bit. So let's kind of write the code for the point to bit. So now the first thing we need to do is actually get the input. The input have an ID of point, so we use that point. So let's get a function which is point to bit. So now we need to get that input, so we are going to save it with var point. It will be equals to document dot query selector. So it's an ID, so put the hash, and then we want to get the value. Just value. So we forgot to add something in our HTML. Remember the default value is 20. So let us add that. Default value is 20. In case that maybe you didn't set a target or a point to bit, at least 20 is a point to bit by default. So now what we want to do is actually check if the score white witness. So we have that. We also want the position to be absolute because we want it to come on top of everything. So z index 2, the z index should be 10 or even more. Maybe let's make it 15, so it will be above everything. So we want the top, we want it to be like 40% away from the top, as well as 10% away from the right. So right should be 10%, so that's 10% away from the left. So we have left should be 10%. So let's save this and see what it looks like. We've not saved our HTML file, so let's save the HTML file. So I think that is good. So now let's center it. Let's test the line should be center. So test the line, center, load. I think that is good. For now, we display it as none. Display none. Can just get rid of this. Don't actually need it. So let's select this in our JavaScript. So document dot query selector, want to select this class, and firstly let's make the display to be like, let's make the display to be block. Display should be block. So so now I want document dot, let us copy this line. Now we have an inner HTML. Now it's going to be equal to span you win. So let's copy this. So let's go write an else. So else if any of this condition is wrong, let the display remain as none. So let's save this and let's test if it actually works. So well, I think 20 is too much. Let's just make it 3. So let's reload. Who gets to 3 first? You win. So actually won. Okay, I think I should change this to you lose, or you lost rather. So first of all, let's just make this 3. Now let's play. Who wins? So you lost. So everything is working perfectly. So the only thing remaining is the reset button. So I'm going to task you to actually like write the function for the reset button. It's going to be very easy. All you just need to do is to set the value of the score to be back to 0 0. Reset the value of the point to bit to be equals to 20, and remove this and remove, just set everything to how it was before the program starts. The completed version of this program that I would show you the link to download the source code, you are going to see the completed version, but I want you to actually task yourself, see if you can actually create it, see if you can actually write that function. So once again, thanks for watching. We have created this beautiful game, this rock paper scissors game. We use HTML and CSS. We talked about a lot of things about how to style things in CSS. We saw a lot of properties, a lot of methods. So thanks for watching. See you next time.